My name is Imogen. I'm an Ankara coach, and I am also the founder of Change Channel Coaching. My focus is men's empowerment coaching and generational healing to create lasting legacies. And today I'm here to talk to you about all of the times that we throw grenades at our lives to create chaos for us to thrive in. Firstly, I would love to give you a little intro and some insight into why I'm so passionate about tackling the subject of thriving in chaos, and what I would refer to with my clients as chaos grenades. When I look back on my life, I can clearly see every time I launched a grenade causing a series of explosions that would cause chaos that I would then have to survive through, take control of, and manage myself while I picked up all of the pieces every single time. See, every time I got comfortable, every time things started to settle in for me, and I started to feel like I was making friends or like I belonged somewhere or that I had a place, I would get this real itchy feeling, a feeling that told me that I should change something or change absolutely everything. And I would do it every single time. I would commit to that change and I would shift my whole life, fully committed. I would dive all the way in. I would move countries, I would move states, I would get a radical new job, or I would get into a very questionable relationship, which was always my mother's favorite. But in true Imogen fashion, I would always do it in the most extreme and impulsive way possible, forcing myself to start from scratch every time. And I didn't often choose simple, easy places. I lived at a roadhouse 300 kilometers from the closest town in outback Western Australia. Once I even moved to a town in outback South Australia with a total population of 26 people. I was officially the 27th person living in this town, and it was 350 kilometers from the closest big town. One of my other favorite ways of creating complete and utter chaos in my life was diving head and heart first into a new relationship that had grenade written all over it. And I know that some of you in the room probably know exactly what I'm talking about with these. So my subconscious knew that this was a surefire way to blow up everything. And I would get completely on board because I loved them. Thriving in chaos was my go-to state of being. It was my normal. I was the site manager for a New Year's Eve festival, which was my ultimate state of chaos. Talk about herding cats. This made me feel like I was firing on all cylinders. I was completely alive. I became a very strong leader in chaos. I knew how to get the best out of people. I knew where they needed to be, and I knew what needed to be done. And I was nearly always the hardest worker out there. I was a master of chaos. I loved it. I thrived in it, and it would always inevitably wipe me out, taking me months to recover or put the pieces of my life back together, only to be ripped apart in the next chaos grenade I threw. I was constantly perpetuating the struggle, pushing myself and making questionable choices that would severely impact the course of my life, all from a state of despair and reaction. When you are stuck in survival mode, there is no such thing as stopping to gather all of the information and make a rational, calm decision. No understanding of what finding pleasure in the pause looks like, or even that a pause is possible. Every time I got anywhere close to having that regularity, that routine, that structure that I clearly needed in my life, I would pull that pin out and I would throw that grenade, almost taking pleasure in watching my life explode before my eyes, just so that I could have my comfortable state of chaos back, because all of my programming and all of my conditioning told me that I needed it. It was all that I knew and what I loved, and it was how I thrived. So today I want to talk to you about how you can identify those grenades for yourself that you're about to launch at your lives, and how you can catch yourself in the moment of self-sabotage and look down at your hands and see that the pin is out and that grenade is ready to be hurled into your own life to recreate your state of chaos that you're comfortable in. We will develop solutions to put the pin back in so that you can start to build a life where you can thrive in success rather than chaos. And that would be lovely. See, we will always attract what we know. It doesn't really matter what you want. Your default subconscious programming is a much stronger force than your conscious mind. And the subconscious mind will always pull you back to the chaos that you're comfortable with over and over again until we embark on the journey to actively reprogram our habitual behaviors and evolve our normal state of being. Even if you're creating success in your life, if you haven't learned the foundation of how to hold that, then you will inevitably self-sabotage yourself back to your comfortable chaos and struggle every time and think, why does this always happen to me? Why does it keep happening to me? And I remember thinking that so many times, right? In a state of tears or destruction on the floor. Why does this keep happening to me? So we must work, and I mean work, to build a stable foundation to operate from, to educate our subconscious to a balanced state of being, and to develop and understand a true security within ourselves, anchored in trust and self-safety, to embark on the journey to crack ourselves open and build the understanding of exactly what it takes to maintain stability in our lives. If you thrive in chaos, then chances are you do not give yourself permission to sit in boredom or find pleasure in the pause. Likely you catch a whiff of that coming and you pull that pin out straight away, ready to blow it all up. But it is in the pause, in the calm and spaciousness, that our passion can truly switch on, where our desire can engage. Our inspiration and creativity can connect with our drive and our ambition, and our passion can really kick into gear so that we can start to create the life that we want rather than the life that we have known, where we can transcend the comforts of chaos, align our conscious and subconscious desires to the greatness we are all destined to create, and be driven to discover what it means to be the most exceptional version of ourselves. But let's get right to the heart of the matter, our relationship with chaos. Have you ever noticed that just when things start to calm down, you somehow find yourself reaching for that grenade, pulling that pin and hurling it at your life? Suddenly, everything is in chaos again, and you're back in familiar territory. And while you don't want to admit it, it's comfortable for you there. But why do we do this? What is our relationship with chaos? Why do we sabotage our own progress and our own peace? And where did we learn these behaviors from in the first place? The truth is, chaos can be addictive. It gives us a rush, a sense of being alive, even if it's destructive. Over time, this becomes our comfort zone, where chaos really feels safer than stability. And we find ourselves constantly reaching for that grenade, ready to blow things up the moment they start going too well. Today, we're going to explore why this happens and, more importantly, how we can start to catch ourselves in those moments when the pin is in our hand and we're about to create chaos. We'll learn how to put the pin back in and choose stability instead. So let's start by examining our relationship with chaos. I want you to think about the times when things were going well, but suddenly, for some unknown reason, you were flung into chaos. On the paper in front of you, I would love you to write down what kind of chaos was unleashed on your life. So we just want to think about the situation that you experienced, and then I want you to have a bit of a think about, was there a time before that that was similar? And is there a theme that you can start to see? So I'm going to give you a minute to just write down what the last thing was that you experienced that was chaos. So you might have lost your job. You might have had a relationship breakdown. You might have experienced chronic illness or injury. I'm just going to give you a bit of time, so I'll be quiet and allow you space to write. We're not going to miss anything. So if you've identified the last time you caused chaos in your life, or that you had a chaotic situation, I wonder what your responses would be if I asked you, can you see how you caused this for yourself? Because that's a bit of an uncomfortable thought, right? You might be thinking, why would I do that to myself? And it might sting a little bit to hear that. Before we can change our relationship with chaos, we first need to understand the pattern of self-sabotage that drives us to keep reaching for the grenade in the first place. Think about a time when things were going well. Maybe you were achieving your goals, feeling good about yourself, or maybe you were just enjoying a really peaceful period in your life. And then seemingly out of nowhere, you found yourself in an overwhelming state of drama, stress, or even disaster, having to fight to hold it all together. And little did you know at the time, it was actually you who'd thrown the grenade into your own life. And this pattern of self-sabotage often stems from deep-rooted beliefs. Beliefs that tell us we don't deserve peace, that success isn't safe, or that things are bound to go wrong, so we might as well be the one to make it happen. By understanding these beliefs, we can start to see the grenade for what it really is, a way of staying in control, even if that control is destructive. Recognizing this pattern is like seeing the pin in your hand and understanding the choice that you are about to make for yourself. It's the first step towards putting the pin back in and choosing a different path. Let's dive deeper into why chaos feels so familiar. It all comes down to conditioning. From a young age, many of us were exposed to environments where chaos was our norm, whether it was family dynamics, financial instability, or even emotional turbulence. We learned through that set of conditioning that this is just how life is for us. As adults, we unconsciously recreate that chaos because it's what our subconscious mind knows. It's really as simple as that. Even when we consciously desire stability, our deep-rooted patterns pull us back to our familiar turmoil. It's not what we want. It's not that we want to live in chaos. It's that we don't know how to live without it. So I'll say that again. It isn't that we want to live in a state of chaos. It's that we don't actually know how to live without it. This is why you might find yourself repeatedly making choices that lead to upheaval. Whether it's taking on too much responsibility at work, engaging in those grenade-throwing relationships, or outright avoiding stability in the first place. These are our ways of subconsciously staying in that comfort zone of chaos. Over time, we have learned to equate chaos with normalcy. It becomes the background noise of our lives, something we could always count on, even if it was destructive. When you're used to the noise of chaos, silence, peace, stability, they can all feel really unsettling, even dangerous sometimes. That's when you find yourself reaching for the grenade, ready to create the noise that you're used to. It's not that you want to destroy your life. It's just that the quiet feels too unfamiliar and perhaps too vulnerable. And understanding this helps us to see why we're so quick to pull the pin and create chaos. It's not about self-destruction. It's about staying in a space that feels familiar, even if it's harmful. But just because chaos feels familiar doesn't mean it's where we belong. We can learn to find comfort in peace, to resist the urge to blow things up, and to build a life that feels safe and stable. Are we all starting to see our patterns forming, and is it starting to resonate and make sense with you? So now that we've explored why we're so drawn to chaos, it's time to move to the next step. Identifying the specific triggers that make us reach for the grenade in the first place. By understanding these triggers and limiting beliefs, we can start to catch ourselves before we pull the pin, and we can start to choose a different path. So let's talk about triggers and limiting beliefs that make us reach for the grenade in the first place. These triggers and beliefs can be subtle, or they could be glaringly obvious, but they have one thing in common. They push us towards chaos. Maybe it's a situation where you feel out of control, a relationship that challenges your sense of self-worth, or even a moment of stillness that feels too quiet
and too unfamiliar. These triggers are the moments when your subconscious starts itching for the chaos that it knows all too well. And by identifying your specific triggers and beliefs, you can start to catch yourself in the act when your hand reaches for the grenade and the pin is about to come out. Awareness is the key here. The more you understand your triggers, what triggers your need for chaos, the better equipped you'll be to stop yourself before you throw the grenade in the first place. So what do I mean by triggers, you might be thinking? Triggers are the actions or reactions that inevitably lead to it not working out for you, or that mean that the relationship failed, or that job just wasn't right for you. There will be a theme in your life which you guys have already started identifying. Like for me, jumping head and heart first into those grenade-like relationships. This theme will likely end with you thinking, why does this always happen to me? So let's do an exercise. In your journal or notebook, I would like you to identify 3 triggers or limiting beliefs you have that keep you in chaos in your life. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. 3 triggers or limiting beliefs that you have that keep you in chaos. You might have limited resources that mean that you can't get the help that you need, or pain in your body that means you're unable to do things. Perhaps you have no support. Maybe you think that everyone else's problems are more important than yours, and you have to put everyone else first. Maybe you just don't think that you're worthy. So I'll get you to write those down. Let's talk about the cost of living in chaos. Every time you reach for that grenade, pull the pin and throw it into your life, there's a cost. It might be the loss of a relationship, a setback in your career, or the erosion of your own mental and emotional well-being. Chaos does not come cheap, and over time it does take a toll. What's more, the more you rely on chaos, the harder it becomes to build anything lasting, whether it's a career, a relationship, or even a sense of self-worth. It's like trying to build a house on quicksand. No matter how much effort you put in, it all falls apart the moment you throw the next grenade. But here's the thing, recognizing the cost of chaos is the first step towards choosing something different. When you can see the pen in your hand and understand what's at stake, you have the power to put the pin back in, to step away from the chaos, and start building something that lasts. So I would love to do another exercise with you in your journal or your notebook. I would love for you to identify 3 habits you have that support those limiting beliefs or triggers that you just wrote down. So this might be complaining how hard things are on a daily basis. It might be checking your bank account repetitively to reinforce just how poor you feel like you are. Maybe it's staying home isolated all of the time because you just don't have the energy to face the world. Or maybe it's forcing yourself to keep up with the world when what you really need is rest. So I'm going to give you another 5 minutes, and I want you to identify up to 3 habitual behaviors that you have that support those triggers and limiting beliefs that you've just identified. Let's have a look at what is the habitual behavior that you do have that reinforces that limiting belief or trigger. And if you're watching in the replay, I would love you to be as honest as you can with yourself in this process. It's really important so that you can identify the triggers, you can identify the habitual behaviors. This is really how we start to change this cyclical behavior of creating chaos in our lives. So once you've identified your triggers and habits, the next step is to rewire your response. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or denying your impulses. It's about choosing a different path, one that leads to stability instead of chaos. So when you feel the urge to pull the pin and hurl that grenade, I want you to pause, take a breath, and consider the consequences. Ask yourself this: does this action take me towards the life I want to create for myself? Or does it keep me in the life I know? Does this choice represent risk and growth, or does it represent comfort? This moment of reflection is crucial. It's where you put the pin back in and choose to act in a way that supports your growth rather than sabotaging it. You might want to write those questions down. Over time, this practice of pausing, which might help with the silence piece, this practice of pausing and choosing differently will rewire your brain. You'll start to create new neural pathways that favor stability and peace over chaos. And with that, you'll begin to build a life that doesn't need constant explosions to feel alive. So I know that your behaviors are starting to become, and the choices are starting to become clear. And I hope everyone is starting to see the pattern of chaos and habits that keep you in it forming on that page in front of you. So I would really love to work with you guys to start to shift that. Let's create a goal focused on challenging or shifting one of those limiting beliefs or triggers that you've identified earlier, the biggest one. One thing that you want to achieve in your life that moves you towards success and expansion. What is one thing you want to do but believe you can't? Now, this might be a big one. And please be as detailed as you can. I'm going to give you 5 minutes again. We're going to create this goal. So I'll leave you guys to write down, identify one big goal that you really want to move towards that's going to shift you away. Remember, a goal needs to be tangible, something that you can measure and something that you can work towards so that you know when you've achieved it. So more freedom for self would look like what? How would you know when you had more freedom? What would you be doing? What would be different in your life that told you that you had started working less, you were less stressed, and you had more freedom? What would the thing be that you would be doing? So I'll just jump to the next slide while you guys are writing. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by action becomes a reality. So if your dream is to be able to sit on the beach on a weekday, what would the time frame look like? How long would you want to be sitting there? What would you want to be doing there? Because could be possible to be sitting on the beach doing work, right? So what we want to look at is the triggers and the habits that you've identified that hold you in the chaos space. What is something that would directly challenge that? Let's talk about the power of the pause, which is going to relate to you guys right now because you're looking at getting comfortable in your silence. So in a world that values speed, action, and constant movement, pausing can feel like a luxury, or even worse, a weakness. But the truth is, the pause is where your power lies. It is in that pause that you have the opportunity to put the pin back in the grenade, to choose creativity over chaos. The pause is where you reconnect with yourself, where you have the space to listen to your intuition and make decisions from a place of clarity and calm. It is in the pause that you align your conscious desires with your subconscious programming, ensuring that you're moving in a direction of your true goals, not just reaching for old patterns and behaviors. Learning to pause is a skill. And like any skill, it will take practice and commitment. But the more you do it, the more it becomes natural. And the more natural it becomes, the less you'll find yourself reaching for the grenade in the first place. So I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. And this time I want you to chunk down your goal into 3 achievable steps. If it's a big goal, then after this workshop, you can sit and chunk down those steps further and further until you have something you can act on right away. So right now, I just want you to go for 3 steps that get you to your goal. 3 actions that you can take that will build you up to achieving your goal. And as I said, big goals will require more steps. So don't worry, you can come back to this later and break it down more. Or if you have time now, let's go for it. I'm going to pop the timer on and give you another 5 minutes. So if you guys have been through synaptic evolution, then you will have a good idea around how this works. Chunk it down into steps. This is why our goals need to be tangible, right? Actionable. This is why we need to know when we've reached it so that we can break it down into steps that we can put into our lives. So breaking your goals down to make them manageable is very important, hey? After this workshop, if it's a really big goal, we might want to break it down even more and break it down even more. But right now, I just want to go for 3 steps that you can start to work towards right away. As we wrap up today's workshop, I want to leave you guys with this. Stability is not boring. It is the foundation upon which greatness is built. Where you stand in your greatness, embracing your creativity and orchestrating your impact on the world. By putting the pin back in the grenade, by choosing peace over chaos, you are giving yourself the space to truly thrive. You're creating a life where you don't just survive, you succeed. This journey of rewiring your relationship with chaos, of catching yourself before you pull the pin, it is not easy. It takes awareness, practice, and a willingness to step into the unfamiliar. But the rewards, creating space for desire and creativity to evolve, creating clarity for your intuition and to trust to follow it, even when it feels risky, and a clear understanding of your mission. This is what comes through when we find spaciousness and when we allow the pleasure and the pause to evolve, when you can sit in the silence in comfort. These rewards are worth it. So we're going to do one final task. On the notebook in front of you, you should have written down your biggest triggers and limiting beliefs, the habitual behaviors that support those triggers and limiting beliefs, one big goal that's going to move you away from those triggers and limiting beliefs and habits, and some action steps to take you towards that goal. And now what I want you to do is create just one habit that you can do every day that supports you in getting to that goal. So let's go for 2 if you're feeling super engaged and ready, and 3 if you're really serious about shifting the chaos out of your life for good. So the habits might look like spending 5 minutes in front of the mirror each morning, staring at yourself, telling yourself you're ready for the world, you're ready for the mission, that you are worthy and that you are loved and that you embrace yourself. It could be planning to watch the sunrise. It could be shifting your social media time so that it's structured to avoid doom scrolling. Maybe it's only checking your bank when you absolutely need to. Or it could be eating breakfast at the same time every day. Or maybe it's sitting in silence or just going out to sit on the grass and ground. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple more minutes to create some habitual behaviors that support moving to your goal and away from your limiting beliefs, triggers, and the habitual behaviors that support those chaos fundamentals that we have. Another action that might lead you towards your goal, if these are the habits that will support that, what is another 1 or 2 actions that you can take to get you to your goal? So if you've already got the habits, great. What are the actions? And I will just get you to do the same thing again. The next time you find yourself itching to throw a grenade at your life, pause. Look at the pin in your hand and choose to put it back in. Choose to build, to grow, to thrive in the life that you're meant to live. Reflect back on this plan you've created for a future you want and the habitual behaviors that support you getting to that expansion and success in your life. Right now, you have perspective and clarity on your triggers and limiting beliefs, the actions that bring chaos into your life. You have the power of choice and awareness to change the way you respond, and a goal to work towards with some excellent new habits to practice to get you from chaos to clarity. The power is in your hands to take the steps towards building the foundation of the life that you want, rather than the life that you're used to. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. So as an Ankara coach, I am here to support you as you take these steps towards a more stable, fulfilling life. Remember, the power to change is in your hands. Quite literally, you can pull the pin out and you can put the pin back in. You have the power to put the pin back in the chaos grenade and start living the life you truly deserve. I'm Imogen, the founder of Change Channel Coaching. I empower men to break free from internal battles, build confidence, and transcend inherited limitations to unleash their true masculine power. Through support, encouragement, and accountability, we recalibrate trust, heal ancestral wounds, and foster emotional independence. For anyone in the replay, Jot down those details and stay connected with me on this journey. If you guys have any questions about your habitual behaviors, about the goal that you're working towards, about comfort in chaos. I know that comfort zone of chaos can be a little confronting when we first start to see that pattern forming in our lives. And with my clients, we work on the grenade throwing theory. So we see a lot of it shifting. So once we identify where that grenade has been launched, or for you guys, you've started to see the theme and the pattern that's coming through for you. Once we identify it, what we start to notice is that it shifts. It's a bit sneaky. For one of my clients, he wanted to change jobs all of a sudden, right? That was going to be his chaos, because then the situation would be all new. He would have to be adapting to that. And we disengaged that grenade. And the next week, all of a sudden, he was craving all of this sugar. And the sugar kept coming in, and he was looking for excuses and reasons why he could reward himself. And he's a diabetic, right? So the sugar is destructive. And he's going, I just don't understand why I'm craving all of these things. And then when we looked at it, we went, well, last week we were trying to cause chaos, trying to blow everything up, throw that grenade at your life by quitting the job and moving somewhere new and getting a totally new job. And this week, we're creating chaos with your health by craving all of the sugar and going for it. And so we can start to see that the pattern shifts as we identify and change the habits. And that's why we want the goal to work towards, right? Because if we put that goal in place, then we have a focal point. We have a mission that we're working towards, so that we can start to see where the pattern of chaos shows up for us. Because once you're working towards something, then that chaos will continuously pop up in self-doubt, in limiting beliefs, in the way that we function on our daily basis, because we're in resistance and we're in disbelief that we can actually have that. So when we change the habitual behaviors, we set the goal, which is the mission, then we have a path to follow, and we have supportive structure in place to help us to shift. Because as I said at the beginning, you will always do what you know. Your subconscious is geared that way because it has all of the information for it, right? So we have to start shifting and learning something new. We need to shift what it is that you know, learn the new behaviors, start to recalibrate our understanding of what we are capable of, so that we can hold ourselves through the discomfort, through the sabotage, and go, I see you, chaos grenade, and I'm going to put the keys to the box of grenades away, right? I have another client who I work with, and we decided that she needed to bury the keys to the ammunition case because chaos was coming in too many different places, and she went, I'm not doing this anymore. So now when the urge for chaos comes in, we actively sit in with the pleasure of the pause. So for her, we have gone from busy being busy. You're busy and you're constantly filling that silence with more busyness, so that then you move towards burnout. So with this client, we went from busy being busy to finding pleasure in the pause. And it was a huge transition, and we transcended the inherited beliefs, the family struggles, the taking on way too much and burning out at work, and the people pleasing and not speaking up about what it was that we wanted in our lives. They were all bombs, all of them. And if one wasn't being launched, another one was. Busy being busy, no capacity to sit quietly in the pause. Are you ready to start taking action towards a goal that is going to move you away from your chaos and into stability, so that we can start to hold success? And I want you guys to have something outlined now that says, I'm going to learn how to do something else really well, which is holding success, creating stability, and finding that comfort in the silence and in the pause. Thank you for working through this with me today, for identifying your chaos grenades and creating that action plan towards turning your chaos into your clarity and into your strength and into your success. If it's a big goal and a big dream, it will require a lot of sacrifice. It will require often If it's a success goal, if it's towards moving, if it's moving towards your job and your dream, then it might require you to sacrifice absolutely everything and recalibrate everything that you understand, because where you're going is somewhere that is so far different from where you've come from. And so it might look like in the beginning sacrificing happiness, but actually what it might be is dedication to the path. And that dedication can be very challenging to yourself and to everyone around you. It just feels like I would need to quit sound healing and do a 9-to-5 to achieve financial stability. So then in that regard, are you still on your dream? Is financial stability the thing that you want if it means that you're sacrificing your dream? Because the dream will take time, and it will take extreme amounts of difficulty sometimes, and hardship and discomfort. But if it's your dream, if it's your passion, if it's where we're going, a lot of sacrifice would be needed. But if we're sacrificing the dream to get to the financial stability, what's that going to bring you in the end? So I'm going to wrap that up there for you guys.